This episode of the Extreme Ag Show is presented by Concept AgriTek.
Cowboy is the game changer, getting it in through the leaf and into the plant circulatory system. That's why this product is so effective at delivering both calcium and boron to plants at critical times when they need it the most.
Yes, farming is a passion, but first, it's a business. And when you run the farm, there's a lot of weight on your shoulders.
Wheat season for us is probably the busiest time of year. It's not like, fall harvest where you have a few minutes like you're just getting out one crop, So you're trying to hurry up, get the wheat crop out, and then you're going to turn right around and you're going to plant double crop beans behind it. Days are weighing on you, time's weighing on you. For every day after July 1st through the 4th, every day that you're after that, guess what? You're losing a bushel a day per day that goes by. So my emotions are high, my stress level is way up here. It's intolerable sometimes.
With wheat harvesting delayed by rain, Temple and his crew take care of some equipment maintenance and repairs.
Where you think, oh, well, it's a rainy day, farmers get off. No, that's not true at all. We end up working our tails off on those days, trying to get everything back up and going, so when we get back to the field, we're ready. Well, I thought we were ready to go back to the field yesterday. It was our first day back, and we weren't ready.
Hydraulic issues in a planter take Temple out of his combine for an in-field repair.
Every minute that you're down, every hour that you're down, if you sit down and you start doing that math on the loss of money per hour, something hangs you up. Whether it's you're waiting on somebody, you're waiting on a load of seed, whether you're waiting on trucks to come back, whether you had a shower of rain that throws you out, like it's a loss of money all the time.
Shortly afterwards, a combine breaks down. It's a broken belt, which he usually has on hand, but this time, he loses valuable time sourcing a replacement.
But in the back of my mind, you get a piece of that OCD in there, and I'm constantly using them numbers in the back of my head, and they're going round and round and round and round. And I'm like, I'm losing money, I'm losing money, I'm losing money.
For Temple, this day just went from bad to worse.
Too much. Just too much. Just everything at once. Nothing wants to work. Story of my life. Every day. You got equipment moving, you better have somebody in the service truck somewhere. I don't care if it's new, used, old, junk, not junk. You go over this thing 50 million times, it don't make any difference. Everything runs, you get a rain, you get back in the field, you spend a little bit of time doing some mechanic work on it, going over it, and then you break down. This is just the way it is. It's all part of it. You better love this, because there's days that it sucks. I promise you. A lot of them. So the air compressor has gone bad, which puts the pneumatic pressure on each row unit back there to push them in the ground. And with this heavy wheat straw out here, you got to keep a lot of air pressure on it. So I guess the air compressor burned up. I'm hoping. And it won't give me enough air. It just constantly runs, but won't keep the air pressure up. I thought it was a leak, so I came to work on it earlier. It wasn't a leak. I can't find any leaks. But the air compressor is not pumping. So, plan B.
While making repairs to his planter, Temple has the added stress of a phone call from a nervous landowner. The smoke from the Canadian wildfires is affecting the crops.
So that was the time where it was damaged. That's the time where it was sickly as hell. Nobody knows what the yield damage is. Like, we don't know.
Temple's equipment problems are not over yet. The next day, another combine problem. What should be a straightforward repair becomes anything but. While repairing the combine, a bushing gets dropped and disappears on the ground. The clock keeps ticking as they look for it.
It's a constant struggle in agriculture. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter your soil type. None of that matters. It is a struggle all the time. Like, hashtag the struggle is real.
Amino Grow is an exciting new product put out by Concept AgriTek. What we've seen is an increase in fruiting sites as well as branching, and this has equated to yield.
Spot less. Introducing the cleanup for tar spot, gray leaf spot, southern rust, and more. Novel next generation Adastrio fungicide from FMC broadens your spectrum and strengthens your residual foliar disease control. Protect your cornfields with a proprietary combination of 3 modes of action. Visit your FMC retailer or at astrio.ag.fmc.com to clean up this season.
In the heart of harvest, victory awaits. Introducing Demco's high-speed, all-wheel steer, combine header transport trailers. Crafted for strength, engineered for speed. Demco, tailored for victory.
Some farmers I know swear by a name. Say they'd never operate anything else. Well, here are a few names for my Fendt 900 tractor. Fuel Saver, Time Maximizer, Game Changer. I like those names.
BioHealth is a product by Concept AgriTek made up of a consortium of beneficial biology that actually colonize the plant and boost the plant's immune system from the inside.
The Piedmont area of North Carolina, where Kevin Matthews farms, is a unique and beautiful landscape, prone to regions of microclimates, which affect a crop's ability to grow and ward off disease. In the battle for keeping yields high, Kevin must keep a watchful eye throughout the season to catch disease early.
So this corn right here is actually replanted. We had a heavy rain, we had to replant, and so we got a late planting. When we have a late planting, we really have to stay on top of disease. So we've done put fungicide on this corn prior to tassel. These lower leaves, which is where your disease starts at, we've already got some lesions from gray leaf spot in here. I mean, they're dead, they're no harm, they're not no further up. I stopped them down young, but this was a pre-tassel application of fungicide, but we will spray this a second time so it'll get 2 applications on it. What happens is these diseases get on the lower leaves down here, and then they just keep migrating up the stalk. What's scary is when this disease comes up and it gets just below the ear leaf, and then it starts hitting your ear leaf. All these leaves up through the stalk are extremely critical in putting the nutrients to build this grain on this ear. And when you start having damage to these up here, it gets really bad. our wildlife decided they wanted to eat. I don't know whether a bear got this or a deer. We had a bear on camera right here last week. They've eat the ear out, so the ear's gone, so it's kind of like roasting their corn to them. And there's nowhere for all the nutrients to go, so they're getting all took up into leaves everywhere on these plants. The profit's done gone, the wildlife's done eat everything, but just a common call we get. Landowners will call and they'll say, the corn don't look right on the edge of the field, what's going on? And you'll go over there and the ears pulled off the stalk. And we do get a lot of city folk that like to come out and they'll pull off the side of the road and pull a bunch of ears thinking it's roasting their corn, and they don't realize it's for animal feed, and it's not. It ain't that good sweet corn. It's pretty hot out here today, but what I want you to notice is the difference in the leaves. When you look at my hand, it just barely covers that leaf up. Then we come to the ear leaf, and the ear leaf is much larger in width than my hand, whereas the other leaf you was looking at was much narrower. That's the difference. This side of the field here it gets so much sunlight. We talk about solar panels and capturing the energy. Well, also look, we got two nice ears on this stalk here, and this is at a population of 34,000. And that's pretty interesting. This is an outside row, so it's going to be more common to see double ears in that situation. But if we go into the field pretty deep, we've actually got a lot of doubles on this as well. This is irrigated ground. This here was a original plant date. This corn was planted on time. You remember I told you the late planted corn was affected more by disease. You can't find any lesions on this. Real good ear set, real thick ears. Most of these are 18 to 22 around. And we'll just see what we got right here. This one pretty well pollinated all the way out to the end there, real good. Nice ear. Should be an even number. So we're at 40 kernels there. So that's 306 bushels acres, what that right there. So if by pushing these later foliar applications, the larger kernel set will take at 300, and I can be up in that 320 range, 330 range by really filling those kernels out. But like I say, we're still feeding this crop. It ain't over yet, so we'll give it a foliar feeding as well and see if we can't push it. We're not even at 50% milk line yet, so there's still a lot of yield potential left right here that I can pack in. Basically about 2 bushels a day at this yield level I can add by filling that milk line and putting more energy in that plant. So I still got a lot of yield left on the table yet.
Adding Raytheon into your in-fur application or even an over-the-top application, ground V3, V4, can do wonders in helping that plant navigate tough soil conditions as far as nutrient tie-up is concerned.
Control the toughest weeds with overlapping residuals. Lock in the longest-lasting control for your soybean fields. Authority brand herbicides such as Authority Edge herbicide and Authority Supreme herbicide combine the industry's most effective Group 14 and 15 active ingredients for a clean start and long-lasting residual control. Following up 14 to 28 days later with a post-application of Anthem Max herbicide through V6 establishes a heavy-duty, economical, overlapping residual program.
Claims are good and all, but I'm more interested in results. My Fendt Momentum planter delivers them. The only planter with automatic tire pressure adjustments, weight transfer across its frame, and inline center tandem wheels that eliminate pinch rows. It's just another way I know Fendt's got my bottom line top of mind.
Sweet Success has been in the product lineup of Concept AgriTek for a while. We've seen it do a lot of things that you wouldn't think a blackstrap molasses product would do. Anytime you can increase the bricks content of your plant, the more healthy it's going to be.
Crop rotation can sometimes be tricky business. Chad in northern Alabama is harvesting wheat. This field isn't quite up to his usual standards. But there's a reason why.
So we're cutting a little wheat out here, and this is just average wheat. It's got some spots in it, it's got a little bit of disease. And basically, a lot of it is primarily because we went a wheat behind wheat on this. And what that means is most time this side of the farm was in corn, the other side was in wheat, we're switching back and forth. We was a little short on our wheat acres, so we decided to put this back in wheat. So we planted wheat, planted beans, double crop beans. When we gathered them in the 1st of November, we turned around and planted wheat right back on it again. So sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes the year catches right, you'll take a penalty on that. And I mean, it'll take a penalty, but it's still good wheat. You know, so we'll manage. We'll manage just to get the farm. Sometimes you got to do those things, get the farm back in the right rotation.
When it comes to overall dirt quality, you can't beat Kelly Garrett's Iowa soil. But Chad's determined to take the red clay soil that he has and make the most of it.
Everybody has their own issues, you know. I mean, it's where, you know, Kelly's rolling terrain and has to, you know, plant on contours. But yeah, we can plant straight lines, not to put as much contour. But I don't know if his dirt's a whole lot better than ours. It's just the fact that he's got the holding capacity. You know, the moisture, he can hold moisture. I mean, if you put water on our dirt, and we can make just as good a corn as they can make. You know, but it's just all about not having enough water. We get twice as much rainfall as he does a year, but we can't hold it when we get it. So that's the bigger problem. It ain't as much the dirt, it's what the dirt can hold. And we're not talking about nutrients, we're talking about water. Because, you know, we're sitting here with a plant and we want to talk about nutrients. Well, nutrients is just a small piece of the puzzle to growing a crop. You know, you got sunlight, water, and Mother Nature is the biggest part of the puzzle. That's the huge part of the puzzle. It ain't fertility. People think it's fertility. It ain't fertility. It's Mother Nature.
Go long for season-long foliar disease protection that starts at plant. Active ingredient flutriafol moves through your corn plants as they grow for inside-out protection from roots to tassel. A single at-plant application provides comparable performance in corn yield protection to that of VTR1 foliar fungicides against diseases like gray leaf spot, northern corn leaf blight, common rust, and more.
Some farmers I know swear by a name, say they'd never operate anything else. Well, here are a few names for my Fendt 900 tractor. Fuel Saver, Time Maximizer, Game Changer. I like those names.
late season application of fertility products on corn. Kevin Matthews, one of the founding fathers of XtremeAg, Jason Willard with Nature's. You've changed some things, which I think is really cool. It's always fun for me to see what the XtremeAg guys are doing. Changing it, tweaking it, trying new things. Now, you're going out there pretty late in the game and putting on a fertility treatment like at R4 or something like this. You know, you're pretty late in the game. So talk to us about what you're doing late season fertility on corn and how late is too late.
Well, you know, it's kind of like a relay effect. We start out with the planters, and you know, we run certain products into planters, and we want to make sure the plant never runs out. We want to get to that finish line as hard as we can. When this thing goes into black layer, we want that kernel round and fat. You know, we want as big a kernel as we can possibly get, kind of like these right in here. But that's not easy to do. You know, we'll be within 200 growing degree units of black layer, and we're still putting out stuff. And but then you wonder, you know, the question that you had for me was, when's too late? We got ground rigs that can get over the corn, we got drones, we got aerial aircraft, we got options we never had before.
You're doing stuff at R4?
R5.
R5, okay.
Yeah.
And the neighbors think, boy, this is kind of crazy. He's going out there and he's putting fertilizer out there when that crop's already made. He's just wasting his money. And you say?
Well, so far the research is showing it pays. The trouble is getting enough time to get it all, you know, and that's the critical part. But we're still pushing the envelope, and we need that late season fungicide application. So we're getting two birds with one stone. But you know, you look at these shucks, then when that shuck's still green, you're still playing ball.
Yeah.
I mean, the game's on. And so...
Yeah, so the point is, this is clearly not dead and dry. I mean, this doesn't look like the corn shucks.
You're in the final stages of the ball game.
Okay. And when you're going out at R5, what are you putting on?
So what I'll do, I'll run a heavier load of potassium. When I say heavy load, gallon, 2 gallons, you know, that's a very heavy load for normal. But then I'll run, you know, put some nitrogen in there as well and some micronutrients. Just try to, any little thing that's left, I want to get in there. But the key is when you look at this shuck, and don't get caught up on that one little brown tip right there. Okay. It takes a long time from this point to black layer.
Okay, so there's more.
Unless it's weather impacted.
If we get a hard frost and it starts.
Well, that or more so, I'm thinking from where we are is it turns dry and hot. Okay. And it cooks the corn, you know, it just cooks it. But, and now, you know, this shuck right here, we just shucked this ear. So we're not going to help this. This is done happen.
Yeah, right.
It's done happen. Yeah. But what we can do is still build the weight in that kernel.
Yeah.
And so we want to finish strong. That's what we want to do. Now, if you go to the field, your plants are all green and you got brown shucks, you're done.
Because the plant looks like it's still working, but this is done.
But you've actually won the battle because the corn plant matured properly.
Okay.
Because you want your shucks to dry before your fodder starts turning. So when that shuck is all dry and the ears dropping down in the low 20s and the stalk's completely green top to bottom, you've done a lot of things right.
It changes everything, so says Indiana corn grower Nathan Davis about innovative Xyway LFR fungicide from FMC. Xyway brand fungicides are the first and only at-plant corn fungicides to provide unprecedented season-long inside-out foliar disease protection.
Precision is understanding the potential hidden within. Decoding the specific nutritional needs of your crop. Maximizing every nutrient and getting the most out of your yield. We break down the science in a way that works for your crops and for you. Apply less and expect more with Precision Crop Nutrition from Agro Liquid.
So iron's, I think it's a pretty neat little micronutrient. They call it micronutrient, but actually for our studies here in Western Iowa, And the research we've done, if you look at the soil, one of the biggest mineral deposits in the soil is actually iron. But it doesn't mean it's plant available. When we get in the soil, it can be kind of a negative, so to speak, because iron's a strong positive charge. One of our key nutrients we look for in the plant's phosphorus. Well, it's a negative charge. Well, iron and phosphate tie together because they're opposite charges and bond together and create iron phosphate. And that's one of the big things that ties up our phosphorus in the soil. ATP is andadeno triphosphate, so that's the main energy source in the plant. So if we can't get phosphorus into the plant, we don't have the energy for the sun to be converted through the plant. If we get high pHs, soils that are high in calcium or magnesium, they'll drive iron out of the soil and make it less available, and that you can get what in soybeans. If you go east of here towards the center, like Des Moines, Iowa, Ames, Iowa, up that, we call it the Des Moines lobe of soil. You'll get yellow spots on the field, and we call it IDC, which is iron deficiency chlorosis. So that plant ain't getting enough iron in it to do the functions iron does, and it'll actually be a negative to the plant because the soil is suffocating the iron, so to speak, probably the best way to say it, and affecting the plant. So iron's actually kind of a hindrance in the soil at times because of its soil characteristics. So we deal with that in different ways. We use products to help break that bond, get that phosphorus plant available, and even get that iron available too. So that's how we deal with it in the soil. Once it gets in the plant, it has probably the key things it does is help assimilate nitrogen in the plant. It's part of key reaction phases in the plant to convert nitrogen into protein. And protein turns into sugars, all that stuff that are important for the growth of the fruit or the seed or the things we harvest, basically out of crops, soybeans or whatever. So we have a lot of iron in the soil and we struggle to get it in the plant. So we're really starting to learn how to manage nitrogen in the plant by small doses here and there for foliar applications to help us use that essential micronutrient in the key phases of the growing of our crops.